Welcome to Extraterrestrial Reality. We have a few different things to talk about today. One of the things we're going to talk about is the word drone. It seems that the word drone is supplanting the acronym UAP as well as the acronym UFO. It seems that everything in the sky these days is being referred to as a drone, even when people don't know what they are and they can't identify them. I mean, doesn't that still make it a UFO? But that doesn't seem to be the case. The mainstream news, along with is doing the bidding apparently again of the government, of the federal government, of the secret control group, or whatever we want to call it. Obviously, they want to use the word drone to describe anything that's in the air, even if you don't know what it is. That's something we're going to talk about later. There's a new whistleblower that's stepped up to the plate. I know I talked about one in the previous show, but now there's another one, and there's going to be an interview that's going to air at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on NewsNation, and Ross Coulthart is going to be interviewing this guy. Apparently, the interview is already done, but they're going to premiere this interview on Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So that's something else to look forward to. But there is also some good news today. We learned that Mike Turner, who's the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, is no longer going to be the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, as Mike Johnson, the chairman of the House, has reported that he's not going to bring Turner back. And that's good news, because Turner, as you remember, he's the guy who he receives a lot of campaign contributions, big-time campaign contributions over the years from the defense contractors. And so it's good news. And he's the person who helped torpedo the UAP Disclosure Act for the last couple of years. He didn't want to, he didn't want to talk about this. He didn't want to bring it up in the committee. Needed to come up in the committee. He didn't want to do that. And obviously, like I pointed out, I think it's pretty obvious. And it's because the people who control him, he's only a puppet. You have to remember, a lot of these politicians are only puppets. I mean, you look at the amounts of money they receive. Like this guy here, he tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars over the years from the defense contractors, aeronautics companies. So it's a good news. It's good. We don't know who's going to replace him yet, but it's still good news. Anyway, here's an article. Let's check out this article here. Here's one from NBC News. It says Speaker Johnson removes Mike Turner as House Intelligence Committee chairman. Turner, an Ohio Republican and defense hawk, had been appointed to the post by Kevin McCarthy. Mike Johnson is now putting his mark on top committee positions. And then they have a picture of Mike Turner here. It looks like he's apparently daydreaming about suitcases full of campaign bucks. Anyway, let's see what the article says. It says Speaker Mike Johnson has informed Representative Mike Turner that he will no longer be chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, according to a GOP leadership source and a Republican lawmaker familiar with the matter. The lawmaker said Turner told him Wednesday that he would not be staying on as head of the critical panel that conducts oversight of the United States intelligence community. The House Intelligence Committee chair is also a member of the so-called Gang of Eight, congressional leaders who receive some of the most sensitive, classified briefings from the intelligence community. Johnson confirmed the news later Wednesday, but downplayed the change as he offered praise for Turner. And he gives a bunch of praise for him, but that doesn't. I mean, I don't believe any of these people. I'm sorry, man. I am sorry. I mean, look at this. Look at this. He says it's a new Congress. We just need fresh horses in some of these places. But I'm a Mike Turner fan. Well, if he's such a big fan, why are you getting rid of him? He says here, he's done a great job. He performed valiantly in a difficult time under difficult circumstances. So I have nothing but positive things to say about my friend and colleague. This is not a President Trump decision. This is a House decision. And this is no slight whatsoever to our outgoing chairman. Johnson said he had decided that Turner would remain a member of the intelligence panel and that he would make an announcement about a replacement on Thursday. So we'll see who he's going to name. The top post on the Intelligence Committee is one of the few positions directly chosen by the Speaker of the House at the start of a new Congress. And then there was another article here. This is from the Associated Press. I thought was interesting, where they talk about this removal of Mike Turner. And toward the end of this article, I thought this was interesting. Representative Jim Himes, he's Turner's counterpart on the other side of the aisle. He says, he said in a statement, he called Turner a serious, security-focused lawmaker dedicated at his core to the national security of the United States and to the thoughtful oversight of the intelligence community. Himes added, the removal of Chairman Turner makes our nation less secure and is a terrible portent for what's to come. Okay, so Himes doesn't think it's a good idea, but let's just look at let's look about Himes here. Himes, by the way, let's just look at this here. This is from Open Secrets. He's received a lot of money too over the years from the defense industry. He's received for the 2023-2024 period. He's received $27,500 from Defense Aerospace. He's received another $10,500 from Defense Electronics, another $18,000 in miscellaneous defense. And this is This is from the Super PAC, from his political action committees, where money gets funneled into these guys' campaigns from different defense contractors, different defense corporations. So that's, you have to wonder. Like I wouldn't. Now Himes will not be named the chairman because he's a Democrat. It's going to be another Republican. So. Whatever the case, hopefully it's going to be somebody who's open to the UAP disclosure and not someone who's a war hawk and someone who receives big-time contributions, campaign contributions. We want to see somebody leading the House Intelligence Committee who's not someone who... You want someone who's not receiving those kind of funds, because if they are, then you might as well forget about it. We're going to get the same old nonsense that we had with Turner. And there's other guys, too, that are responsible. It's not just Turner. I mean, there's other puppets, too, in addition to Turner. But we'll see if Johnson... Now, Johnson's another guy. Keep this in mind. People forget about this. He's someone else who was against the UAP Disclosure Act for some reason. So we'll see who he's going to put in there on Thursday, who he names. And we'll have to go look at Open Secrets and see how much money this person's received in campaign... The new chairman has received in campaign contributions, but it's going to be something to look forward to. We'll see what happens with that. Okay, now this was on January 10th. There was an article from Marek von Rennenkamp. I've talked about this guy a lot. This was an opinion piece from him that appeared in The Hill about drones, and I thought he really nailed it here in this opinion piece. He always seems to get it right, this guy. He was a former appointee to the DOD under Obama, as well as among other. He had held other positions in the government as well. But let's see what he has to say here about the drones. And this is an issue. I mean, it really is becoming an issue. I mean, that's all you hear anymore. Unknown drones hovering over military installation. If your drones can't do anything about them, how do you know that they're drones? This is something I've been complaining about ever since this all started, since DroneGate began. And I'm glad to see that someone like Rennenkamp is pointing this out. He says, in recent years, mysterious drones have hovered with impunity above sensitive government facilities, spurring urgent briefings at the White House and at the highest levels of the British government. Not only can the objects involved in these incursions evade detection and sophisticated countermeasures, they also demonstrate an array of extraordinary flight characteristics. To be sure, some recent drone incidents are likely espionage or intimidation operations, but until conventional drone technology is conclusively linked to the most brazen incursions, these craft must be considered UFOs, or as Congress and the government now prefer, unidentified anomalous phenomena. Yes, exactly. Bingo. Yes, this is what we need. The public needs to hear these things, because they need to understand that not everything they're seeing in the sky that they can't figure out what it is not a drone. These things have been seen in the skies for decades, as Rennenkamp points out, and in the days of old, we didn't have drones. But now, because in these new days that we're living in now, we do have drones. Let's just call them drones, because people are stupid. If you keep telling them something over and over again, they'll believe it, right? That's how it works. That's just how it works, people. It says the UFO designation is particularly appropriate considering that several well-documented and equally perplexing incidents over sensitive nuclear facilities in the 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s bear a remarkable resemblance to the recent incidents. For 17 nights in late 2023, for example, between 1 and 2 dozen brightly lit objects flew at any one time over Langley Air Force Base in Virginia. Beyond forcing the cancellation of nighttime training missions and the transfer of highly advanced fighter jets to another base, the incidents left the military so perplexed that it tasked a special NASA aircraft equipped with sophisticated cameras to investigate the objects. Somehow, despite nightly incursions, stretching over weeks, no verified imagery of the drones has emerged beyond a video showing numerous blinking lights in the sky. According to Glenn Van Herk, the recently retired commander of North American Aerospace Defense Command, or NORAD, our most advanced aircraft attempted to identify the objects with extremely limited results. So let's just stop there for a second. So if you don't know, if you try to investigate them and you're not getting any results, or the results are extremely limited, then maybe they're not drones. Then that means they're unidentified. You don't know what they are, but yet we're still calling them drones for some reason. Again, it keeps the population in check by doing this. You keep calling it drones. Oh, it must be a drone. Oh, I don't know what it is, so it must be a drone. See, they're supplanting UAP and UFO with the word drone. That's what's been going on for the past few months now. Let's continue here. It says, Senate Intelligence Committee Vice Chairman Mark Warner and Senator Tim Kaine expressed disappointment and shock, respectively, at the lack of answers regarding the incidents following a year of investigation. And then also Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, a key member of both the Intelligence and Armed Services Committee, stated that the government does not know what technology the objects are using. She also said that the Langley incursions involved a type of technology that our radar did not detect them arriving. Moreover, government documents indicate that all counter-drone technology deployed against the objects failed. How is that possible? If they were drones, just like the drones, the high-tech drones that we have and the counterintelligence drones we have, and we can't do anything about it, we can't identify them, then how do you know that they're drones? They don't know that they're drones. That's the whole point here. They don't know that they're drones. They're just calling them drones so people don't keep asking questions about UFOs and UAP. General Mark Kelly, a decorated Air Force pilot and the commander of Air Camp Combat Command, observed the incursions personally, likening the brilliantly illuminated objects moving across the night sky to a science fiction film, Close Encounters at Langley. And this was a good question that he puts forward. He says, would an adversary expose its ultra-stealthy technology so dramatically and consistently in full view of the United States military? If so, to what end? I do not believe that they would do that. Like I've stated numerous times over the past couple of months, I do not believe that it has anything to do with anything from China or Russia or any other country for that matter, including Iran. No, it's not that. Anyway, continuing here, he says, what kind of craft, despite displaying bright flashing lights and flying in formation, can operate with complete impunity, avoiding radar and visual detection while resisting counter-drone technology above a key military base? Well, obviously, let's just stop there again. Obviously, it's something that's probably beyond our anything that we've created technologically, I would have to say. If we can't do anything about them, we don't know where they're coming from. I think now, before we go any further, I just want to point out something. I want to be very clear. Like Stanton Friedman used to say, some UFOs are extraterrestrial and constructs, right? Some, and you say underline some like 10 times. I think you have to say some lights in the sky, some objects in the sky, right? Some are drones, but some are unknown craft, and some, underline 10 times, some are extraterrestrial / NHI constructions. That's what I think. Operated by beings that are non-human, intelligent creatures. Yes, no question. No question about it, actually. Anyway, continuing. Alarmingly, identical incursions occurred for several nights in November over sensitive American military bases in the UK. We've talked about that a lot. One of the incidences over RAF Lakenheath, which was the site of one of the most puzzling historical UFO incidents. The base is also slated to host United States nuclear weapons, once again raising an array of urgent national security concerns. Similarly, over the course of several weeks in late 2019 and early 2020, swarms of brightly illuminated objects alarmed the residents by hovering over nuclear missile facilities and harassing livestock in Colorado, Wyoming, Nebraska, and Kansas. Yes, I see these things aren't drones that are hanging out in those places over Nebraska and Kansas. Government documents paint an extraordinary picture of the incidents. On multiple occasions, law enforcement officers observed several smaller objects circling a large stationary mothership. In one notable instance, a Nebraska sheriff's deputy reported observing 30 to 50 objects flying independently of each other, with a larger mothership hovering for hours. In another incident, a Kansas Highway Patrol officer observed a large object that stayed relatively stationary while 10 to 15 drones flew all kinds of patterns around that stationary drone. One of the drones then passed 200 feet over the officer, but somehow made absolutely no sound at all, even though the wind was calm. This reminds me of the story I was talking about yesterday. There were some details I failed to mention. I was talking about the story with Keith, who back in 2021, him and his wife were driving back from a relative, and they drove from New Jersey into Pennsylvania, and they arrived to Pennsylvania at 7:30 in the morning. It was what I failed to mention, that it was broad daylight when they saw these multiple objects. First, they see what they thought was they thought it was a hot air balloon that was mylar colored silver, right? And then he realized, no, this was a big giant orb. And this was all in broad daylight, right? And then the orb breaks up into 3 orbs, and they all start revolving around each other. And then his wife points out that there's another object, a big giant rectangular object, hovering right up 200 feet above their car. And he's looking out the window, looking at this thing, and then after about 20 seconds or so, the thing just vanished. But all of this, right? He saw this in broad daylight, but there was absolutely no sound either. Absolutely nothing. Couldn't hear anything. Now, what he described there, that's nothing we've created. So how do we know that some of these things that these police officers were talking about in Nebraska and Kansas, I mean, that sounds like they're seeing something similar. No sound, objects with no sound, a mothership? I mean, come on. Anyway, let's continue with this. It says here, several other law enforcement officials noted that the objects made no sound while flying for several hours in adverse weather conditions, including hovering in winds of 30 miles per hour with 40-plus mile per hour gusts. A briefing document prepared for the then head of the Federal Aviation Administration noted that sheriffs from several Colorado counties reported that the objects flew for several hours at a time in less than optimum flying conditions, high winds and storm-like conditions, unique capabilities wholly inconsistent with conventional drone technology. And then critically, an FAA spokesman who flew in from Los Angeles to assist with the investigation declined to confirm that the objects were drones. Similarly, FAA Administrator Steve Dixon noted that not too long ago we would have called these UFOs. His chief of staff responded, "Yep, not everything is a drone." See, some people are willing to go on the record in the government. Obviously, I don't think these people in the FAA are in the know. They're not read in on the program, but there is an effort from the Pentagon to call everything up there now drone incursions, when they don't know what they are. And see, that again, that's another lie. Why not just say the truth? Oh yeah, there were UFOs or UAP. We don't know what they were, flying over military installations, flying over nuclear missile silos or whatever. Why don't you say that? But no, they have to lie about it. They have to call it drones to confuse people, to trick people into believing some phony narrative that they're trying to always push out there against, onto us, to foist onto the public. And, the shame of it is, like I'm telling you, there's people out there who become absorbed with the cable news reports on a regular, every night, and they're sitting there, and when they hear these kinds of stories and they keep being told that they're drones, then they think that they're drones. Over time, they become brainwashed into thinking that. Anyway, continuing, early in 2019, dozens of unknown drones swarmed numerous United States Navy warships off the coast of Southern California. Yeah, we talked about that incident a number of times on here. Some of the more perplexing incidents took place well over 100 miles off the coast of San Diego. And then it says here, imagery released publicly via the Freedom of Information Act shows indistinct, seemingly round objects. However, in July 2019, sailors aboard the United States USS Omaha recorded an intriguing video as nearly a dozen mysterious drones swarmed their ship 120 miles off the coast. In the perplexing footage, a spherical object moves against strong winds before descending slowly into the ocean. The following day, sailors aboard the USS Paul Hamilton observed an object descending or splashing into the Pacific Ocean some 160 miles off the coast. That object was part of a larger group of, quote, drones, end quote, that subsequently departed on a heading toward Mexico's Guadalupe Island, where local fishermen have been baffled by spheres that fly into the ocean. Now, obviously, let's stop there again. Obviously, these things aren't drones, but we're calling them drones. We're calling them drones. The mainstream news is calling them drones a lot, right? For some reason, when they're not drones. People from the government, the Department of Defense, they're calling them drones when they don't know what they are. It's gaslighting front and center. front and center. They don't care. They don't care. And they don't care about people like me out here saying this because they just don't. They don't care because they're reaching way more people than some little small, tiny podcast like this. Or there's other podcasts talking about too. Little news outlets like this, independent news outlets like this trying to talk about it. They know that not a lot of people are going to hear this. Right. So, and they know they have all of their contacts in the mainstream news, that they know how it works. And the mainstream news is lazy and inept on top of it when it comes to this for the most part. Most of them are. They just, you would think with everything that's been uncovered over the last several years, right? Since 2017, now the different whistleblowers stepping up to the plate, right? You would think that somebody some mainstream news outlet would say, you know what, there's something going on here, right? We have evidence now. There's way too much evidence. These people are obviously lying. The Pentagon's obviously lying, but they don't care. They're not doing anything. They're doing nothing. The mainstream media is just as complicit, as far as I'm concerned, as the Pentagon when it comes to this. Anyway, he continues here. He ends this piece saying, any spherical object lacking wings or visible means of propulsion, yet capable of moving against strong winds and descending slowly into the sea, is no ordinary drone. Exactly. That means it's not a drone. It's not even. It's no ordinary. It's more than no ordinary drone. It's not a drone. It's something else. It's like that one object we were talking about on that flight yesterday. In the episode yesterday, there was a flight from I think it was from Mexico to Florida, and they filmed for like 45 minutes some object. A woman, a flight attendant on this plane, filmed this object for like, I don't know, 45 minutes. You could see obviously clearly that it was not a drone. It was up over 45,000 feet in the air. It couldn't have been a drone. Obviously it wasn't. So what was it? It was some sort of UAP. That's what it was. Probably extraterrestrial / NHI. That's what it probably was. And as I talked about yesterday, there was a whistleblower that I was talking about yesterday. Now there's another one. And this is going to be something there's going to be an interview on Saturday night on NewsNation at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So I guess a lot of us will be checking that out, unless you're watching NFL football on Saturday night. Maybe you'll record it with your DVR and watch it later. But anyway, it says here, the headline reads, Whistleblower says UFO retrieval program exists. It's a NewsNation exclusive. And this should be very interesting. And this person's name is Jake Barber. And he has contracted, according to this article from Ross Coulthart on NewsNation's website, he has contracted as a helicopter pilot to retrieve all kinds of downed craft, some of which he believes are of non-human origin. And here's a direct quote from him that's going to be part of this interview with Coulthart. It says, just visually looking at the object on the ground, you could tell that it was extraordinary and anomalous. It was not human. So this is going to be really good stuff. And basically what he says he saw what looked like a white egg. That's what it looked like to him. A big white egg on the ground. And so he doesn't think it was made by human beings. And he's helping retrieve these things as a contractor for the government. And he added, it's inconsistent with anything I'd ever seen before. I can also tell you that the reaction by my team, we all knew we were dealing with something extraordinary. So this is great. We have another guy now coming out talking about these things, and this should be very, very interesting. Here's another quote from him. He says, over the last couple of years, it's been confirmed to me by ranking members of the UAP task force that what we were working with that night was, in fact, NHI, and it was not a unique experience. So, yeah, this guy believes that he has been working with NHI craft, recovering it, whatever he's doing, part of the retrieval program. And this guy was part of it, and now he's talking about it openly, and this is the kind of stuff that we need. These are the kind of people we need to keep talking. Of course, is this proof? Does this provide the proof? No, it's not the proof. We haven't received that yet. I mean, there's been whistleblowers who are brave enough to testify. We've had people like Lou Elizondo, Dr. Tim Gallaudet, we have David Grush. People like that have testified under oath to this already, and maybe this guy here will testify. Who knows? Hopefully, and there's others. There was a guy from yesterday, Randy Anderson. We'll see if he testifies. I don't know. we need to keep having these people testifying, but at some point, somebody within the government or one of these whistleblowers is going to have to present something that's tangible, something that will help the Congress see the reality of the situation, something that they could present to the public and say, see, yeah, this is real. There's no question about it. They're actually alien in nature. There's actual alien creatures there. But as I've been talking about for a long time now, we already have the evidence that shows that there's something here. That's what they should be. That's something that should happen in Congress too. That evidence that I've been talking about here, the actual alien evidence, that's something that should be brought into Congress too to be discussed. And then this way, we have the ancient aliens coming up to do a story on the Las Vegas aliens. That's going to be great. And there's other things in the works too that we're working toward. But I think one of the things that should and might happen this year, maybe, we'll see, I doubt it though, but it should, is that Congress should have someone like Scott Roeder go in there, call him in there, have the House Intelligence Committee talk to him about his analysis of that Vegas alien video. And we could talk about the entire case. They should be alerted to that, and then bring in someone from the Pentagon and ask them questions. Because that shows that we're not alone. It shows that there's creatures here in this country. They were in Las Vegas, and we know that. We have proof now that shows that there were some sort of alien / NHI, whatever you want to say they are, in Las Vegas back in 2023. We have evidence of that now. Proof. 100%. Absolute proof. It can't be, there's nothing that can be done about it. I mean, I know there's people out there, some people are still crying about it, right? But they're wrong, obviously, right? They're wrong. Nobody's debunked it. That's what Congress should be looking into. They should be looking at that evidence and see what happens, see where it takes them, see how the public reacts to that. Anyway, I want to say this. I want to say thank you all for joining me today. Until next time.